of the Finance
Recording in
Committee on
progress.
May 12th, 2023. And just for a reminder, it is being recorded, and anything, even in the chat, will be part of the public record. So first order of business is open forum. Anybody has anything for open forum? I'm not seeing anything, not seeing any hands. Okay, so we'll go on to our 135 agenda item, which is to appoint a Finance Committee representative to the MBTA Committee, Multifamily Housing Advisory Committee. And Kristen's gonna, I think, talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Thank you so much. Good to see you all. As many of you are aware, the town of Westford has been working for over a year related to a state mandate that requires MBTA communities, of which Westford is demarcated a adjacent community, as we have commuter rail in Littleton and Acton, to formulate and adopt zoning language that allows for multifamily housing by right. Again, this is a state mandate, and the town of Westford has already done a lot of outreach and has submitted a plan to DHCD, the Department of Housing and Community Development, related to how we plan to go about formulating and adopting this zoning. The town of Westford also has applied for and received $75,000 through a grant through the state called a Housing Choice Grant, in which we are able to hire a housing and zoning consultant to help walk us through this process. At the select board meeting on Tuesday evening of this week, the select board authorized my recommendation and the land use department's recommendation to engage Dodson Flinker on that. To help guide the process and have as much public outreach and public participation as possible, I am forming an MBTA communities committee. I will not read the whole committee name or charge. We're calling it the MICMAC committee. So if anybody's interested in joining related to that naming convention, we believe that this committee will meet on Thursdays, perhaps twice a month or once per month, from a period of time of June through March of 2024. The intention is to formulate the zoning bylaw to be ready for the March 2024 annual town meeting. And this committee will not only work with the consultant through the process, but also work with the land use department and the planning board and any other deemed boards and committees or town staff necessary in order to formulate the best zoning bylaw for the town of Westford. So we had reached out to Christina to see if there might be a thought process if a finance committee member wanted to be involved. Obviously, any production of a generous size amount of housing does have financial implications on the town. And through the zoning, we are required to provide zoning for up to 924 or 42 housing units. However, we're looking at a larger swath in town to perhaps be a little bit more flexible. So with this meeting, we're just looking for anyone who might be interested on the finance committee to be that delegate to this committee. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
So Hari had expressed interest, but I don't know if anyone else has any questions or has any other interest.
I have a question. When
Sure.
I got the charge from Dan, it was talking about a budget task force. Is that something completely different from this, or is that the same?
This is the next. That's the next item on the agenda.
Oh,
yep.
All right. Well, yeah.
I believe I sent out the Housing Choice Task Force in a separate email.
Yeah.
Okay. I must have missed it.
So
well, one thing I just wanted to, I would like to say one thing, because maybe Hari wants to get a hold of this, but since you're going to be dealing with zoning for multifamily housing, we prepared a master plan implementation. There's a master plan implementation plan that was submitted that basically examined the town from the perspective of certain areas like Forge Village, all the way up to Graniteville and Nabnasset, and made some suggestions in that, some very good suggestions, I think, about where to start looking to rezone for a little bit more denser housing, things like that. Now, I don't know if what you're talking about is actually like we have to get something built like in 6 months? Or is this something where we need to be able to demonstrate a long-term zoning solution that accommodates for something like that? If it's the latter, then the master plan we have, should fit right in with it. So, because it was built with that in mind. It's the master plan the implementation plan, not the full master plan. So it's there, and I know that our director of land use is very familiar with it. He knows all about it, and I would recommend that somebody reference him and get that to you. And
Yep, so I've read everything cover to cover, and our consultant will also be reviewing the document in accordance with this as well. They'd be taking any type of land use documents that we've already prepared into their consideration.
Okay.
Great. So, unless if nobody else wants it, and if Hari, you're still willing to be the rep, Well,
I got a question. I got one more question for you. Since there's 2 committees, obviously there's another committee coming up as well. I mean, if I'm willing to either one, if nobody else will do it, I'll do either one. I am a little bit more familiar with this zoning situation. However, you know, if Harry wants to do it, that's fine with me. It's his call. So I'll defer to him.
So I'll jump ahead a little bit. I would like to do the budget task force.
Okay.
So I will, you know, if you and Hari wanna.
No, this is easy. That's okay. You don't fight for things like that.
And also, just for everyone's knowledge, both of these committees will be recorded and open to the public. So any member of the finance committee could join these meetings as a member of the Westford resident. So you're not precluded from joining. It just would not be a voting member.
Okay.
So you're definitely welcome to attend either of these committee meetings as they come up.
Okay, good. That's fine.
So I'll take a motion for somebody. I'll just put it that way.
I'll move Hari to take the job as the MBTA liaison.
All right.
I'll second.
Awesome. Okay, all in favor? Tom,
Aye.
Ingrid,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Hari,
Aye.
good. Dennis,
Aye.
Jake,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, so it passes unanimously. Thank you very much, both of you.
I thought I had to wrangle somebody to get this job, but you
No.
So let's go on to the 140 agenda item, and that is for the budget task force. So I don't, if you watched the select board meeting from Tuesday, they talked about the charge for the budget task force, and that was also in our packet. I won't read the whole charge, but essentially it's to look at the budget as a whole. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on our next agenda item, but there are several things coming up in FY25 and beyond that are going to be causing us some financial issues. So this task force is looking at everything as a whole to try to figure out a way forward. Like I said, I would like to be that representative. So if that's okay with people, I will look for a motion and we can vote on that. And then we'll go into some more specifics on the budget update.
So moved.
So,
Second.
thank you very much. All in favor, Tom,
Aye.
Ingrid,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Hari,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Jake,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Okay, so now on to our 145, which is an update on the FY25 budget process. So basically, I'm sure you've heard from various avenues that FY25 is going to be a little difficult. There's going to be several increases in costs, whether it's due to inflation or, you know, several other areas that are not going to keep pace with Proposition 2.5. Some particular areas are collective bargaining contracts with specifically WEA and fire unions are coming up. So there's just sort of an unknown around that. The bus contract for the schools is also coming up. Potential increases in out-of-district tuitions costs, which we heard about during FY24. Trash and recycling is going out to bid. That could be a very big jump. Shelby is actually going to be on the committee to choose new, there was an RFP that went out to choose new trash and recycling vendors. So she's going to be our representative on that committee. They're going to be looking at that over the next month or so. Electricity and gas costs are rising. The health insurance trust. We had a large increase for this upcoming year to our stop loss insurance. It's still relatively new, so we're still sort of making our way through that and building the reserves. New growth looks like it may be flattening. There's a wellness coordinator position that was funded via ARPA this current year and partially into FY24. So for FY25, either we need to absorb that, or I believe there's also an ARPA ask into FY25 to help with that. And state aid, the FY24 budget is still not finalized. It kind of keeps going back and forth, and I've sort of lost track on the up and down between the House Ways and Means and the Senate Ways and Means and the governor's budget and blah, 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 blah. But essentially, that's not going to be keeping pace with a 2.5% increase, most likely also. So all of these different factors are kind of adding up, which led to the creation of this budget task force to make some recommendations by October 1st. And I think that's about it. Heather, you had a question?
I did. I was kind of thinking about all the issues with the budget and the pressures. And then I thought of one thing that might be on the opposite end. And it's the police vehicles that now go through operations. And I've never really understood as an accountant how you would have a policy but have an exception for those items. I would rank them similarly to the lap books we buy for the kids or the Chromebooks every single year. So just an idea for somebody somewhere that maybe those go out and get used with capital, with free cash and that sort of thing.
Okay. I made a note of that. Dennis?
Yeah, I would like to, while we're talking about this, I would like to just share with the Finance Committee a discussion that you and I had about the future, because I think it's important, at least put it on the table and maybe start, orient ourselves to it. It's pretty clear to me that I think our school costs are going to be going up. I think it's the intention of the town to expend more for the education, and that's what the town's that its will is. The gas prices are going up. As you just mentioned, state aid is going down. Revenue is probably going to be flat. If in fact the revenues start to get too high, we may start to see, as we are seeing in Massachusetts, a little bit of a sort of a movement, migration out of the town. I don't think that's going to happen quite that significant in Westford, but I think in Massachusetts it's going to. So one of the things I proposed, and I'm familiar with, and I shared with Christina, is that I think it's time for us to at least put on the table, or at least to start examining the possibility of regionalizing some of our services. I think what happens when and I have two in particular, fire and police. If you were to regionalize those two services, I think you might see a significant reduction in overall costs, which would allow you to funnel some of the money over to education without having to really constantly go through these overrides, because the overrides are going to kill people. And I honestly believe that from a perspective of management, I think that regionalization actually can improve the service as opposed to deteriorating. And I have certain reasons I can explain later why. But fundamentally, what the issue comes down to, and I've been raising it since I've been on this particular committee, is that Westford Police and Fire both are very top in management, and it takes a significant amount of resources to fund those positions. And I obviously have some concerns about whether or not that money is being efficiently used. So I just want to put this on the table. I think it's something we should start considering and start maybe talking to some of the other communities around us to see if they have the same problems that we're going through. So
Okay.
that's it.
Thanks, Dennis. As far as I know, I believe these, well, let me ask the question instead. Kristen, the budget task force meetings, will those be open to the public? How is this committee being created?
Yes, so the select board is appointing the committee. It will be open to the public, open meeting law compliant. Most likely it will be Zoom meetings, but we have committed to having at least 2 or 3 evening kind of open forums once a little bit more data is collected and we have a little bit more clear picture of what avenue the budget task force is taking.
Okay. So if anybody has suggestions, please come or email me. I definitely want to hear from the finance committee. You know, if you have ideas or something.
Okay.
Tom?
Yeah, just 2 things. So Christina had gotten contacted by someone at the schools about an open forum for the students on how to basically become engaged. And one of the topics is finance and resources. So either making sure to, advertise these budget discussions to the students as well, because, they are going to be voters by the time some of these things come up. But also maybe even reaching out to see if any, any seniors or maybe older juniors are willing to serve. Yeah, it might be good to get a young perspective. The other thing, just and this is an overall, and I'll raise it to the task force. Yeah, I think we have to make sure to be aware of making cuts on the operational budget that result in increases on residents, personal and I believe in discussions with fire chiefs that I've worked with, regionalization can increase insurance rates because of response times. So just something to think about.
Okay, thank you. This is going to be a complicated endeavor, no doubt. Dennis, did you have something else?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't pick my
Okay,
hand down.
no problem.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Didn't work.
So does anybody else have any other questions on this budget task force? Or, and again, the meetings will be publicly posted, so feel free to drop in, or if you come up with an idea or something you want to float past me, shoot me an email, give me a call. Tom?
Yeah, just one other quick thing. If I remember correctly, the idea behind this task force is to look at every option, not just stop at, we need to, we're outpacing 2.5, so we need to do an override.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
an override is on the table, but I think that is probably, the least desirable to start. But yeah, I think every option is going to be on the table, and just, yeah, going to be complex, trying to figure out what the best option is. And I'm looking forward to the idea of hopefully getting some public input as well. Yeah, to see where the temperature of the town is on some of these ideas. So
right. No, absolutely. When we talked a little bit about a brief meeting to create the charge, one of the things that everybody there said was that we wanted to just sort of define what the problem is, what kind of a gap are we looking at in dollars, and how do we solve it? Not how do we get to an override, or how do we, it was, let's look at everything and also look at towns, look at other towns, how, what are they doing? Can we learn anything from them? That kind of thing. Ingrid?
I just was going to suggest that, as you get further in, maybe an appropriate time for all this input would be that we have an agenda item and, some discussions as, after maybe the committee's met a few times during your update, Christina.
Sure. Yep, that would be great. Dennis, do you have something else?
Yeah, I would like to suggest that when these both of these committees open up, that we as a committee maybe put a schedule of one meeting a month where we all can be briefed on what the developments of these committees are and what the direction is. I mean, I'm going to try to at least monitor it myself, but I think we've got 2 members of the committee, yourself and Hari, and you're there all the time. So I think it's a good opportunity for us to get a direct report from you as to what you're seeing on the committee. So I would recommend that we have a meeting once a month, all the way through till the next till we get to the next town meeting.
Okay.
So,
Alright.
I like that meeting idea, not only just to get a one-way update, right? So if I have anything from MBTA, I will update. But if I have any things that finance would like to change how I represent, right? So let's say I am an individual finance committee member, but what my thoughts might not align with the entire finance committee, right?
Right.
At certain points, like I would say, okay, this is what the board is thinking. What should we as collective finance committee should put our thought process together, right? So it's more like a representing a team as opposed to a representative from finance committee.
Okay. Sounds good. Kristen?
Just wanted to bring up while we're here, the select board is likely setting the strategic planning retreat for Thursday, September 7th at 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Kimball Farm, similar to the last few years. I know that MBTA communities will likely be on the discussion for that. I would assume that the budget task force matters may be discussed at that time as well. So if you want to keep that date available, not only to attend just as a resident for other matters, but these 2 topics will likely be discussed that evening as well.
Okay, that's a good thing to remember.
Yeah.
Dennis, did you have?
One last thing
Yep,
before,
go right ahead.
and I'll shut up. First of all, this is kind of an interesting development because as our local aid is drifting away, now we get the MBTA who's going to suck more of it away from the other side too. I mean, the MBTA is in free fall right now. I think everybody knows that if you've been watching it, and they're desperately searching for revenue. So I think it's very important that we all be aware of the condition that they're in as this thing proceeds, right? So, and the other thing too is I was going to ask you just to make sure, would you want a motion for a monthly meeting up until we get to till the or you want to leave it up to yourself to call it?
Yeah, I'll call it. I don't think we need to vote
All
on
right.
it. Yeah.
So long as we're going to get one, that's fine. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, that's no problem.
And just to clarify, the MBTA zoning is not parcel with the MBTA and the finances of the MBTA. It's just really called MBTA zoning. So there's nothing that the town has linked to the MBTA's finances at the state level.
They've just started, let me tell you. I don't want to be so cynical, but I know the agency pretty well. Yeah. So
Okay. Anything lastly on the budget task force or anything else? Okay, I'm going to go on to the next agenda item, which is the approval of minutes from March 6, 2023. If everybody's okay with those, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
so moved.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor, Tom,
Aye.
Ingrid? Yep. Beth,
Aye.
Hari,
Yes.
Dennis,
Aye.
Jake,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So that passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda, we just kind of leave this as a standing one, is the boarding committee updates. I don't have anything because capital hasn't met yet, and the health insurance trust is actually meeting next week, I believe. So I don't know if anybody else has anything coming up.
I haven't followed if Permanent Town Building has had meetings. I've been really crazy at work myself, but I do anticipate or at least I will even bring it up to them with the fact that the center building was not approved. I would expect that they're going to be recommending some significant upgrades to the East Prescott building that currently houses the IT department. So again, something else that we'll probably need to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Yep.
Tom, just to dovetail on that, so the Permanent Town Building Committee has been meeting, I think, monthly, if not bi-monthly, because of the library committee and the fire station at NAB. I have also proposed to the select board an actual overall facilities master plan, requesting ARPA dollars, which would look at all of our facilities as a whole. And the Permanent Town Building Committee chair has been in the loop on that. So I don't know if they'll actually do those upgrades at Prescott Street, or if they'll wait for a study or do something else. So it's really nothing's been decided at this point.
I thought I saw that they were having a meeting coming up. I may have gotten an email recently.
Yeah, Monday, meet
Yeah.
Monday.
Okay, yeah, I won't be around. So
Yeah, and I
if
don't-
someone else pops in, that's great. Yeah, I'll be unavailable next week at all. So
I may be here. Well, I'll see what I've got going Monday night. Because they don't, as far as I know, they don't do virtual or hybrid. But okay. So next, old business. Any old business? No. And we just have future meetings listed. There is a May 23rd meeting listed for us at the select board, and I believe that's budget transfers, correct, Stan?
That's correct, yep.
Okay. September 29th, we have penciled in right now to most likely go over any warrants for special town meeting. And then special town meeting is October 16th. And I think that's it.
and then per Dennis's conversation comment, I think we probably need to add some additional ones in
Yeah.
between there.
Yep.
So-
Yep, we will add some more.
So keep an eye out for those.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if nobody has anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, and we'll just wave out. All
See you
right, bye
later.
everyone. Thank
Bye.
you so much.
Hi, everyone.
That was easy.